Here's exactly how to navigate December without falling off track. Welcome back to Body Beyond the Scales, a podcast that gets you stronger and more confident in your body through building better habits. I hope you're feeling excited now that we've started December. I am absolutely gassed because we have opened up the advent calendars, and this year I've managed to wangle 2 advent calendars. Jules and I bought one, and Jules' mum also sent one up. So we've both got 2 advent calendars each, and I am very, very excited about that. But on that note, navigating December can be quite difficult. So I wanted to create this episode so that you know exactly how to navigate December, so that you don't fall off track, or rather, so that you feel like you've had balance over December and you're not hitting the new year feeling like, well, basically everything's gone wrong. So I'm going to be talking through the biggest spanners that come up over this kind of festive period, over December. Think pre-Christmas social events, the festive period, alcohol, and you might have guessed it, but pressing that big red button. So I'm going to be talking through how to navigate all 4 of those spanners that come up over December. So yeah, let's get into it. Now, pre-Christmas, that's when the social events start to ramp up. You've got Christmas parties you see in your family, and there's just much more food around. So knowing how to navigate that is super important, and choosing how to navigate that is super important, because ultimately you're going to end up doing what you want to do, so you might as well choose the option that most aligns with what you want to get out of the event. So the first thing that we're going to decide is whether you're going to be at fat loss, maintenance, or not think about it. Now, over the festive period, I recommend that you probably have about 3 days that are not think about it days. Then the rest of the time, I recommend that you are at fat loss or maintenance. Now, one of your not think about it days is going to be Christmas Day, and when I talk about the festive period, I'm going to talk through how to navigate that. But in the meantime, let's talk about fat loss and maintenance. So if you're going out for a meal or going somewhere that has calories on the menu, super easy, just stick to your calories, and that's not going to be anything difficult to navigate. In the event that you're not, go to do the build your plate method, which just means 1/4 of your plate wants to be protein, 1/4 of your plate wants to be carbohydrates, and half your plate wants to be fruit, veg, or salad. Think of the Christmas dinner. 1/4 of the plate is turkey, 1/4 of the plate is potatoes, and if you have Yorkshire puddings on your Christmas dinner, Yorkshire puddings, and half the plate is just veggies, which is super, super easy to do. If you do that, you'll be at fat loss. If you want to go to maintenance, then your option is to increase the amount of either have another source of carbs on there, have dessert, have a starter, or have 2 alcoholic drinks. That way you can basically you'll have more calories, but you'll be at maintenance roundabout for the day. So you're going to choose which way you're going to navigate it so that you have the outcome of the event that you want. Now, it's super important to go in with a plan and know exactly how you're going to navigate these types of events, because it means that you're making a decision that's logical rather than it being emotional. If we make last minute decisions, or we decide when we're there, we make decisions when we're hungry, when we're feeling emotions, and it's just not the best time to make decisions. You're way more likely to choose a decision that's not aligned with your long-term goals if you're making it in the moment. So as much as you can ahead of time, make that decision. Now, if it's a set menu and you don't have any control over food, and you know there'll just be 3 courses coming, you can always control what goes from your plate to your mouth. And what I mean by that is just focusing on eating until you're 80% full. Doing that will mean that you got kind of getting the best of what you can out of that situation. It's the next best thing approach. So with all of your pre-Christmas events, what I would like for you to do is mark them into your calendar. And I think that this is really important because it allows for you to visualize what's going on and visualize how you're going to be planning it, whether that be that not think about it day, whether it be maintenance, or whether it be a fat loss day. I also have a toolbox that you can download for free. We're using the link in the description or the link in the show notes. And yeah, if you click on that, you'll be able to find basically my free toolkit that will run you through exactly how to navigate the festive period. Now, inside of there, you also get a calendar that you can use to just plug and play your details in. It means that you can navigate it super easy. Now, let's talk about the Christmas period itself. I'm talking here from probably about the 23rd, 24th up until the 1st of January. Now, whatever your traditions are around Christmas, whether you have a big Christmas Day, a big Boxing Day, a big Christmas Eve, really focus on thinking about how you want to stick to them and how you want to honour them. I think it's really important that we have these days where we don't think about it. And for me, Christmas Day and Boxing Day this year will be 2 of those days. I only found out Boxing Day would have been one of those days the other day, because that's when my brother's going to be home for Christmas. So it's really nice to have a think about what's important to you and why it's important for you to have those days as a not think about it day. For me, having Christmas Day and Boxing Day as a not think about it day is super important because that's where I spend time with family, and I want to be present in that rather than thinking about, oh, how many calories are in this food. So what I would like to do in those situations is do it as a not think about it day, so I don't really have to worry. I think one year I kind of like mentally totted up how many calories I'd had on Christmas Day, and it would have been about 4,000, maybe slightly more. The thing is that will balance out over time, and the goal is over December is for things to balance out. It's not for everything to be perfect. That's why we want to make sure that we're kind of a little bit more on it with our social events throughout the start of December, so that we have that flexibility and we've not basically just pressed that big red button all the way through December, and we've just had not think about it events all the way through December, and you get to like January the 6th and you're like, oh, I'm 3 stone heavier. So it's really, really important that we have the clarity of how we're navigating them, because the more that you can do that, the better you will feel over the festive period. So over that Christmas period, like I said, you're probably going to have the majority of your not think about it days. Mine will be on Christmas Day and Boxing Day. To be honest, it probably won't be New Year. I don't really drink on New Year. We don't really do anything. Like, we might be meeting up with some friends, but like other than that, it's not going to be too tricky to navigate. So that will be a maintenance day for me. So just knowing how you're going to navigate it makes it much, much easier to, well, navigate it. Now, if you don't know what your maintenance calories are, then it's worth working them out. Now, you don't have to track over the festive period, but it is worth knowing what numbers are, like what you should be aiming for. Because if you can mentally track that little bit, or at least stick to some habits, it just means that you know and you can be a little bit more confident in what you're doing. My best advice to you, though, is if you can make the days between Christmas and New Year look as normal as possible, because it's very easy just to descend in a biscuity chaos. We want to make sure that we're having the best quality days as possible during that time. And that doesn't mean being perfect, but it means having structure to our meals. It means eating until you're 80% full. It means getting your steps in. And plus, you're probably going to have more time at this point of year as well. So really think about what you want to do during that time period and how you want to navigate it, and basically how you can keep that week looking as normal as possible, bar your few not think about it days. Now, I also like to use this time to get ahead on my 2026 planning. I'm actually always really excited about my goals around probably December the 27th, December the 28th, just as the New Year's kind of like hotting up. We're getting all that like New Year, New Me kind of like energy. And whilst I don't agree with the concept of New Year, New Me, I do think it is nice to start a year and feel like you are starting it on the front foot. So why not use that time to get ahead and start thinking about your 2026 goals? I mean, start thinking about them now, but start thinking about what you're going to be aiming for in 2026 and getting the ball in motion and getting going with that. It will just leave you way more excited and feeling like you're sprinting into January rather than you're starting on the back foot because, well, you've not really thought about it throughout that time of year. The main thing that I want you to take from this episode is that throughout December, I want you to plan it in a way that feels best for you, and it allows for you to enjoy the festive period, but simultaneously not feel like you've pressed that big red button for 31 days straight. And that means we want to view the month as those fat loss days, those maintenance days, and those not think about it days, and make sure that we are planning it in a way that feels good for you and aligns with your values and your life. If you're listening to this, I'm going to assume you have some sort of weight loss goal, or you want to just live and have a healthy life. That means that you can't press the big red button for 31 days straight and do that. Those are conflicting goals, and I don't think you do want to press the big red button for 31 days. I think it's just that you haven't known how to not do that in previous years if you have done that. So it's really important to just look at it and think, and let's go into this time period rationally and navigate it the best that we can. So let's talk about alcohol over the festive period. Now, this will fall into how you manage your social events, but I think it's really important to think about any time that we're drinking alcohol, why are we drinking alcohol? It's completely fine if you do want to do that, although the guidelines are that there is no safe limit. So knowing why we're drinking and what we want to get out of that drinking is really, really useful before you go into an event. I think the first thing to do is just avoid mindless drinking over the festive period, especially because it's so easy for someone to go, oh, should we crack open the Baileys? Or, oh, do you fancy a Bucks Fizz? Or, oh, do you fancy... And it just tends to, like, basically diverge. What's the word that I'm after there? But basically it ends up turning into a period of just drinking and drinking and drinking, and then not really, you're not really knowing why you're doing it. So have a think, why am I drinking in this occasion? And avoid mindless drinking as much as possible. Make sure that when you are drinking, you're drinking because you want to, not just because it's there. Now, at those times where you would like to drink, I would recommend using the Jesus method. And the Jesus method, very aptly named for the time of year, is where we have water into wine or an alcoholic drink, into water, into wine, or again, an alcoholic drink. The idea is that Jesus turned water into wine, you know? But like the idea is that's going to just extend the amount of time that you are having a drink in your hand, but it's going to reduce the amount of alcohol that you consume. And it makes it much easier. Well, you'll feel less hungover because you will be hydrated. It's a very reliable technique for that. But two, you'll also just make sure that you've got that drink in your hand, just in case you are someone who likes to have a drink in hand, but you're also not drinking as much. I will also say that like non-alcoholic beverages this year are like just so much better than what they have been in the past. So check out non-alcoholic options as well if you're thinking I'm not too bothered about drinking. For me, I just don't like the impacts that alcohol has on my body, so I don't really drink. Like, I don't have any desire to drink because I'm like, I just don't like how it makes me feel. So have a think, like, especially if this time of year is somewhere where you might start contemplating your relationship with alcohol, just mainly because, like, we are going into dry January and, like, it's a good time to start thinking about, like, do you want to do that? But I would recommend thinking, what is your relationship with alcohol and how much do you want to drink over the festive period? And again, if you want to know like the calories in festive alcohols and like from that side of things, if you go into the Navigating December Toolbox, you'll find a cheat sheet with basically all of the calories on for like a standard drink, and we've got the calories on as well for like Christmas snacks as well. So there's two cheat sheets in there that will really help you out with that. Then when it comes to alcohol, we just want to make sure that we are making mindful choices. And if you can do that, again, you'll be in a good position. Finally, let's talk about pressing the fuck it button. Now, you're going to have some days over the festive period where you're not on track, but I want you to think about how you can navigate this festive period in a way that feels good for you and not let it descend into day after day after day after day of being off track. So what I would like for you to think is, what is your speed to return and how can we improve that? Now, your speed to return is just how fast you get back to being on track. If you've not noticed, every time I've said on track or off track, it's had some quotation marks. But I want you to think about how we can get back into a routine, back into the swing of things as fast as possible. And the best thing that you can do here to do that is to think about the speed to return. So that is literally just how quick do we get back to normal. Now, some people, what will happen is that when they will have something that looks off track, and then they will go into the next meal's off track, the next meal is then followed by the next meal, and then before you know it, they've eaten everything that they wanted for the next 3 days. And they've got no structure, and it just ends up being reset on Monday, or like the metaphorical Monday, because everything gets changed over Christmas and New Year, what day it actually is. But just making sure that you are like, you know that the sooner that you get back to that routine, the better you will feel. And actually the easier it is to navigate like down the line, and the easier it is to stay consistent. So really focusing over this festive period on your speed to return of just getting back to normal as quick as possible. And I think there is a lot of guilt associated with overeating, and sometimes having bouts of overeating is okay. So for example, like Christmas Day, I think part of Christmas Day culture is to consume more food, and food is being the proxy in this time period for like togetherness and family and love and these really important values that are probably important to you. So just remember, like on the day, the food isn't necessarily what's like the food is going to be there, and like the food is been used as like a proxy for these things to kind of connect together. So just think, well, am I experiencing that? And it's okay if I'm using the food like as that tool. We just don't want to be doing that all of the time. So if you do have a day where you are slightly off track, think about how we can get back to normal as fast as possible, and don't let that descend into several other days of just no structure. I also want you to focus on consistency over the month of December and across the year. Like, what you do across the year is the most important thing. It's not just what you do over a couple of days. There are 52 weeks in a year. 4 of the weeks fall in December. It's not the end of the world if December isn't the perfect month. If we can balance that out, it really works. Like, we need to work over time, not overnight, because your body doesn't work overnight. Your body works over time. So if you can just zoom in and focus on that consistency, especially thinking about December as a whole month rather than just a couple of days within it, you'll find that you actually are a lot calmer around the festive period. One thing to note on your weight, and one thing that I have said to a lot of my one-to-one clients, is the weight that you are going into December, if we're in a fat loss phase, will be roughly the weight that we are aiming to leave December at, because we will have higher periods. So we're looking to maintain over December. Most of them will still be going through a fat loss phase at least for the next couple of weeks, and then we will be tying that up and going up to maintenance towards the festive period, basically. So thinking about how you are going to navigate that time, when are you going to be coming out of a calorie deficit? If that is the case, when will you be going back into one? And just, figuring things out. If you can follow this technique, you will make sure that you are navigating 2026, or you are rather starting 2026 in a way that feels good to you. And actually you don't feel like you're starting on the back foot. And if you can do that, that's what's important. And even if you just give this a go for the first time this year, that's still going to mean you're doing better than what you otherwise have done in the past. So don't worry if you're not perfect with this. Don't worry if it doesn't go exactly to plan. Just make sure you have a little bit of a review early January and go, right, what went well, what didn't go so well, like where were things good and were things not exactly as we wanted. And then you can work out from there what you need to do for next year. The whole idea is that we get to practice this as an event, and we can practice it over time and navigating it over time, rather than having the expectation that we're going to be perfect with it for, well, ever. So hopefully you have enjoyed this episode. If you have any questions, then feel free to drop me a message. But otherwise, make sure you grab the Navigating December toolkit from the link in the description box or in the show notes. And any questions on that, again, feel free to drop me a message. And if you have enjoyed this episode, please make sure that you subscribe to the podcast, and I will catch you in the next one.